What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Taste Like Music. Jason and Joe here. Normally, we do a little check in halfway through the year at the end of June and let you know what our favorite records of the year are. This year, we are going to do a quarterly check in. So we're into April, which means time to talk about the first 3 months of the year. There's been a lot of good music listened to so far. I have listened to way more in the first quarter than I probably ever have before. I'm way ahead of my normal pace, set to crack 400 albums this year. So rolling right along. There's been a lot of stuff already. So far, I think it's been solid. I don't know that it's necessarily amazing, but I think it's at least on pace to be as good as the last few years. Probably a little better, I think maybe.
I don't know, I haven't listened to that many compared to some of you psychos in the Discord. I keep finding, solid middle 4-star kind of albums. I think I'm gonna downgrade the Smile to 4 stars too. So really, just one 4.5 and above this year for me. But a solid year. I like a bunch of these albums.
I've got a few 4.5s. I don't have any fives yet. No 5 stars. I don't know that really. I'm not sure if any of my 4.5s have what it takes to get that bump to five, maybe, but remains to be seen. I actually have six 4.5s, but two of them were released in April. So four for the first quarter. I've got a bunch of 4 stars, over 24 stars, 50 plus 3.5 stars. So it's been pretty solid. So we'll run down some of our favorite records. You want to go first? You want to go back and forth?
We can go back and forth.
All right. What's one you got?
Well, I'll start with one that I was came out a couple of weeks ago. Tyla, self-titled debut, part of the Amapiano genre, which is from South Africa, a mix of house, jazz, lounge music, but very much like in the pop R&B sphere as well. Got a great voice, couple killer tracks. Water was a big hit. Hear that, I think, on the radio today. Safer is another good one on there. Just really cool, really interesting sound that's come out of like Africa and pop lately, and just the percussion sounds and like the wide bass. Really interesting. I've been digging that sound.
I'm gonna go with what is maybe the most divisive record of the year so far on our Discord. People seem to either be very high on it or very, very against it. I think you're in the against it camp. It's Sorted by Cheekface. I think it's really, really great. Fantano loves it. I don't know, it's kind of punky, dancey rock. It's got some elements that kind of remind me of like LCD Sound System in some ways, but the lyrics are very kind of like meta and super self-aware and interesting, and his vocals are he's got kind of like this I don't know, kind of nerdy, they might be giants sort of vocal approach. But I think that there have been some people on the Discord have said that his vocals are too they might be giants for them, but for me hearing it placed in this like other context, this like angular rock kind of sound is interesting to me, and I like it a lot. I think it's very catchy and funny. A lot of humor in the lyrics.
I don't find anything about that band humorous at all. That is my least favorite album of the year, but I haven't listened to that much yet. I haven't been purposely seeking out annoying albums quite yet. How about 2 Star and the Dream Police by Mk.gee? Kind of like a White Prince, Dirty Mind era bedroom pop meets R&B. Very minimal. It's basically just him and a guitar, and kind of it's got an interesting uh vocal style that I can't really describe, but it just sounds like I don't want to say like a white guy trying to do R&B, but that kind of is what he sounds like, and I think he pulls it off. But some really cool guitar playing, play some really cool, like weird, disjointed guitar solos in there. Just a really interesting album, interesting sound.
I believe it's McGee.
McGee, Mk.gee. All these damn artists and their stupid
There's
names.
so many
I
that I don't
hate
know.
it.
Have to
McGee.
look up how to say their name.
I like Mk.gee better. So that's what I want to call him.
Okay, next one for me, the new Ed Harcourt album, El Magnifico. I was a huge, huge Ed Harcourt fan in like the early 2000s. He had a string of records that I thought were fantastic, all the way up to 2010's Luster. And then after that, he gets kind of started to lose me a little bit. He did that Furnaces record that I didn't think was great. And then he started doing like soundtrack stuff and like these more like ambient new agey kind of pieces and just wasn't that into it. And he's back in a big way. This throws back to what he's good at. And I think the songwriting is great. It sounds great. His vocals are great. So like it a lot. If you like his old stuff, definitely check this one out.
All right, I'll do Usher Coming Home. I'm just gonna say it. It's my favorite album of the year so far. I just think it's great. I think it's a tour de force. It kind of covers every inch of his career. There are club bangers, there are big soppy ballads, tear jerkers. He's still got his voice, still sounds incredible. And I love hearing an R&B album that doesn't have like trap beats, or well, there might be a couple, but not a lot. It's not doused in auto tune. He adapts to the modern sounds. There's two tracks with Burna Boy that are really good. Didn't think I would say that about Burna Boy, but I really like his production with Usher. And I don't know, I think this is a better album than anything he's ever done before, better than Confessions. It's just wall to wall bangers here.
All right. Speaking of bands that I don't know how to pronounce, here's one. Is it Frico or Frico or Frico?
I've been saying Fricko because it sounds cooler, but it's probably Frico.
I've been calling them Frico.
Frico.
So who knows? But they're a band from Chicago. They're kind of doing like this like early kind of throwback emo-ish, Bright Eyes kind of sound, folky emo, and I think the songwriting's great. I just like that. There's a lot of people doing this kind of like throwback to that now, and I think they're doing it better than anyone. I think it's really strong. A lot of people seem to agree. It's pretty highly rated in our community chart. So yeah, I think that's a great record. What's it called? It is called Where We've Been, Where We Go From Here.
Yeah, that one's not on my list today, but it is a 4 star for me as well. I actually just bumped it out based on the last two albums I listened to, but it's right there. I will do one from a band called Slift. The album is I don't know if it's Ilion. It's all capitalized. It could be I Lion. It could be ILION. And again, these bands just need to calm down with some of this naming conventions. But it's this album rules. Great psychedelic progressive metal. It sounds like you're just traveling through hyperspace. Just the sounds are just flying at you. It's great. It's just like thrilling motion constantly. Got that horse Norseman Viking vocals just screaming epic. But the instrumentation, the playing is just unbelievable. The bass playing is incredible. The drums, the guitar, just walls of sound. It's a trip, man.
All right, next up for me is a country record. It is called Driftless Girl by Gaye Delisle. And I was pretty into Gaye Delisle back in the day. She had a record called Iron Flowers out in 2005. I think I just found it by like digging around on what was Rap City at the time. She was married to Murray from Old 97s, the bass player. Just got a really, really awesome voice, country, I don't know, kind of like almost like a blend of Emmy, Lou, and Dolly, like if they were one voice. Um, so she put out that record in 2005. It's got like this crazy country version of Bohemian Rhapsody on it, and yeah, I think it's a great record. And then she disappeared for a long time. She put out a record last year, which I missed somehow. So I still have to go back and check that one out. But this one is just phenomenal. I think in that long period in between, she's been doing like a lot of voiceover work for cartoons and stuff. So she's just got like this really kind of like voice that can do anything. And I think the songwriting's here is great. It's just like classic country storytelling, and her voice is exceptional.
Well, I haven't listened to that one, but clearly I should, because that all sounds great. All right, we'll do Cowboy Carter, also a country. No, it's not a country album. It's based like slightly in country, maybe country storytelling. There's some sounds, from Americana and Heartland rock kind of creeping in a little bit, but it's not really a country record per se. But I do think it's very strong. I think Beyonce's never sounded better. There's a ton of backing vocals and the blend of all the voices. Forget who else is in there with her. I know like Brittany Spencer and some other people. Her singing is awesome. And I think the songs are really cool. American Requiem kicks it off is awesome. I think her cover of Blackbird is great. Not perfect. The Jolene cover is kind of iffy. She changes the words around and kind of destroys the whole meaning of the song. And it peters out a little bit towards the end, but I think it's a pretty cool move. It's way better than I expected when I heard Texas Hold'em, which is one of the weaker songs on the album. I thought it was kind of be kind of, hokey, gimmicky country, but the way she pulls in Americana and 60s and country and Western stuff, pretty solid. I'm pretty impressed.
Next one I'll talk about is a record called R.I.P. Dunes. This is the lead singer from a band that I have championed on this channel before, the band Caveman, which I think is just a super underrated band from the 2010s. Their self-titled record is so good. This one is so the lead singer is kind of striking out on his own. It's kind of continuing in the direction that Caveman was. It's got a very 80s sound to it, big, anthemic rock, but kind of like slow burning, big gated drums and synths and all that kind of stuff. It's very anthemic, but it's the way the songs take their time within that sound is why it works so well. I think it doesn't kind of like hit you over the head with it so much. Um, yeah, great record.
That's another one I have at 4 stars. I think I like it better than the Caveman stuff that I've heard. Thought that was pretty cool sounding. There's one that we talked about on the channel already, and actually we've talked about a bunch of this albums in my top 10-ish here. I'll do Invincible Shield, Judas Priest. I mean, I can't say much more than I did in the review. They sound like they're, at most 50 years old, which they're like pushing 80 now. So I just think it's their best since Painkiller. I think everything they do here, the guitars, the songwriting, just kicks ass. The fact that they're still doing it in 2023, 2024 even, is amazing. And yeah, just I don't know. They're like the Bob Dylan of metal at this point.
All right, next for me, I'm going to go with Too Hot to Sleep by Daniel Romano's Outfit. Obviously, big Daniel Romano fan. I will say, though, since the Outfit formed, whenever that was, I felt like he's kind of settled into a sound where it's become kind of predictable, and a lot of it sounds very similar and the same. So I've been like really yearning for him to like take another left turn, like when he switched from doing the classic country stuff and he was playing around with some new sounds. I think it's getting, I had thought it was getting a little stale. This record is not that. It is not a left turn. It is still another record that sounds like the Outfit, but I do think it's got a lot more fire to it. The band is just like kind of kicking ass, and uh, the songs are good. I think it's the best record he's done since Modern Pressure. I just think it's super solid.
All right, here's a new one for me. Rosalie, Bite Down. Just a really good Americana record. She's got a crack band, really cool, kind of Fleetwood Mac-y, long drawn out solos occasionally, really good rhythm section. Sometimes they sound like Crazy Horse, sometimes they sound like Fleetwood Mac. And it feels adult, feels like she's singing about a life of learned experiences, which is nice sometimes because I feel like a lot of the music we listen to is made for like 20-year-olds, and this feels like it's made for adults like myself, 38. And just nothing too fancy, really nice voice, cool songs, good stuff.
All right, my next one is the new Adrianne Lenker, Bright Future. Just another home run, I think. Just recorded simply full takes, all analog, recorded analog, mixed analog, never touched a computer. It is just, I think, really beautiful. I think her songwriting is as good as ever. She just, I don't know, there's something about that camp, that whole, the Big Thief people and everyone orbiting them just seem to have figured out how to just like harness this spirit and capture it on tape somehow. And I think it's just another stunner.
Must be very nice to have that that you can rely on in your life. I rely on Tom York, I think, to usually put out some good music. The Smile from last year really grew on me. And Wall of Eyes, I had it 4.5 stars. I don't know if I'm going to stick to it and actually re-listen to it for this, but it's certainly up there. And I like it because it doesn't sound like In Rainbow's Radiohead. It kind of sounds like 90s Radiohead in some spots, which was cool, a little unexpected. I thought he would just kind of given up on immediate sounds like that, but I thought there was a lot of times during Wall of Eyes where just bringing in like some melodies that really stick to your brain. So I dug Wall of Eyes a lot. I didn't expect to like it as much as I did. So it's on my list here.
I'm gonna go with Harm's Way by Ducks Ltd. Ducks Limited. I don't know, like this sound has been done to death. I kind of feel the way I feel about the um, Daniel Romano record. Like I hear that, I heard people talking about this record and saying what it sounded like, and I'm just going like, do we need another one of those? And then I listened to it and I was like, yeah, we don't need another one of these, but the songs are so good. Just really impressive. It's kind of like that jangly college rock sound that kind of like, I don't know, like Real Estate kind of have a similar thing, and like Beach Fossils and bands like that. Really clean guitar tones, just kind of circling around each other, jangling away. And no one's doing it as well as this, I don't think. I think every song is really memorable, and just the melodies are so strong.
All right, we can do one that we just talked about on this channel. Just had a album review for Vampire Weekend. Only God Was Above Us.
DQ'd, disqualified,
Disqualified.
second quarter.
Oh, you're right. Okay, that's fine. I have a backup. We'll do Plastic Death by Glass Beach. Interesting mix of like emo, progressive metal, like twitchy progressive pop. Uh, Obviously some Radiohead influences in there, but just every genre that you can think of kind of splattered against the wall. And it's one of those albums like I don't know how much I like it, but I keep going back to it. There's just something really interesting and unique about the sound that they have. And even though, there's a couple songs I just do not like at all, but as a whole, as an album experience, I think it's a very good kind of journey that they put together. So yeah, I like it a lot, even though I don't like it a lot sometimes.
Next for me, I'm gonna go with Plunge by Sam Evian. And this is another kind of bounce back for me. His last record, Time to Melt, was good, but it lost a lot of the poppy ear candiness of his previous work. He was doing kind of like this more, I don't even know what to call it. It was kind of like white funk, soul kind of sounds. Which sonically it was great. He was playing a lot of sax on that record, and it sounded great, but the hooks weren't there. And he's kind of found a middle ground here, where he's incorporating some of those sounds still, but the poppy power pop kind of hooks are back, and it's just much more memorable than that last record. And I think he's kind of found his footing again.
Another one we talked about here on the channel a couple months ago, Prelude to Ecstasy, Last Dinner Party. Just, big Baroque pop, some swears in it to keep it spicy. Very much aimed for, millennial, whatever comes after Gen Z crowd. But I think it's a cool sound. Abigail Morris got a killer voice, great attitude, and the band Brock's playing some cool Baroque pop, and it was big buzz band that I'd never heard of until the album came out and everyone was talking about it. But I think they live up to the hype.
Last one for me is New Lost Ages by Tyler Ramsey, uh, former guitarist for Band of Horses. Kind of just doing his thing. I mean, it's not that different from his past work, but I love his voice. I love his sense of melody. He writes really catchy songs without writing pop songs. These are kind of like folky, acoustic tunes that just stick. I think he's a great guitar player, really underrated, great finger picker, and yeah, he's got full band here, so it's not just acoustic folk tunes. It's all fleshed out and sounds really great. And yeah, that's the last one I'm gonna talk about in depth. Do you want to throw out just whatever else?
I have a fairly large amount of 4 stars because I've really just been listening to things that I think I'll like. But I got Bruce Dickinson's latest Mandrake Project. Very good. Like it more than most of the latest Iron Maiden albums. Firebird from Dirt Poor Robins, real theatrical. Dream Theater meets Queensryche meets, I don't know, something even more Marillion or something. The Friko was on my list. Catherine Pretty with the Pendulum Swing, I thought was very good. Mountainhead by Everything Everything. I even like the latest Yard Act, which I'm pretty sure I hated their last album, but Where's My Utopia I thought was pretty solid. And then there's this weird hip hop collective, and I don't even know. This album is a bunch of like emojis, and I wanted to kill myself listening to it, but I'm calling it Hella Crying Face Heart from 1999, Write the Future, which I hate everything about what I just said, but it's a pretty catchy rap hip hop album, so I'm gonna mention it here.
Some more honorable mentions for me. The Joy of Sects by Chemtrails. I like the new Idols record, Tank. The Past is Still Alive by Hooray for the Riff Raff. Terracotta by Sam Outlaw. Local band Meeting of Important People put out a cool record called Moip's Giving. Carsey Blanton, pretty cool kind of country record, but pulling in some, I don't know, some R&B and some like vocal jazz, and like pulling in some different stuff into her kind of country sound. There's a lot more, but you can find out about that at the end of the year. Well, let us know what your favorite records of the year so far have been. If you've heard the records we talked about, let us know what you think of those. Drop it in the comments, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications. Check out the video description for links to our social media as well as Patreon. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.